Welcome back to our podcast today. Today we're talking to Jade about entrepreneurship and what he sees as the next evolution of entrepreneurship. Welcome to the show, Jade.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me on, James.
Jade, we've seen quite an evolution in entrepreneurship over the decades. If I go back in time far enough, entrepreneurship was really a euphemism for I can't find a job. Certainly, I remember back in the day when I started my first company, we used to have that joke that we would be starting our company and our mothers-in-law or our spouses wouldn't quite see that we didn't have a real job. We've seen a change in that over the last number of years. We've seen quite a flourishing of support coming from the community, from government, from investors, and from university colleges. And now we're seeing entrepreneurial startups all over the place. And we've also seen a change in the theory or the methodology of entrepreneurship. Back in the day, it was we would start our company. Now, it's very much a metrics-based approach where we start, test with customers what it is that they want. We adjust our service, our product, our business model, and we go through this continuous evolution of testing and adjusting. And I'm wondering where we need to go from there. So when I look out at the startup environment, I see lots of ideas, lots of entrepreneurs. It seems that almost everyone coming out of the university, college, and even in the high school system is keen to start a new company. What are you seeing out there in terms of this transition from individuals looking for jobs or those looking to create their own opportunities through entrepreneurship? Are you seeing this similar kind of shift taking place?
I am, James, and it's been I would like to say kind of a slow graduation into this entrepreneurial mindset from people. I think at the beginning, everybody wanted to start an app and do something quick and make a boatload of money with an exit. And now you're starting to see that there aren't as many new ideas out there. A lot of the people are taking something and spinning it or tweaking something and hoping to be, the next Airbnb when you look at how many those types of companies are out there. But one of the problems I'm actually seeing is there is a great support network out there for people, and you should be using them, your network, your mentors. But a lot of people, I think, are getting bad advice. And I'm seeing it more and more around, once I talk to entrepreneurs, especially over the last, I would say 5 to 7 years. And I don't know if I don't know why that reason is, but they just seem to be listening to the wrong group of people or not reaching out to the correct people. And that could be devastating, especially when there's only so much money to go around, whether it be from banks or VCs. And if they put all their time and energy into creating a company, especially from scrap, if you can't bootstrap it, then you're putting yourself at a disadvantage right out of the get-go. And it's unfortunate. And I'm hoping that more people will reach out and look for positive, maybe not positive, but honest advice before they start up a company.
Jade, when you're talking about some of the startups that you're seeing are variants of a theme, it suggests to me that perhaps what we need for the next evolution of entrepreneurship, maybe entrepreneurship 2.0, is rather than individuals coming up with an idea, pitching it to a venture capitalist or an angel investor, we need a new approach, maybe some kind of incubator for the individual, not necessarily for the idea, something in which people can meet, ideas can flourish, and the talent development of the entrepreneur can happen until they find a cool idea and they're not spinning out variants of ideas. What's your thoughts in terms of maybe we should shift entrepreneurship from idea focus to individual focus?
I think that's a great idea. And I've always preached that an idea is a starting point. And you never know where the next great idea will come from, and you never know who will be able to add to that. So if you put a bunch of people that are, entrepreneurship and goal-oriented idea together, in the same room, that original idea might turn into something totally different, and that idea, 10 steps down the road will be ready for a business. So I think, putting people together like that, rather than just saying, I've got an idea, throwing them into an incubator and hoping it works and not maybe having the support or being too guarded about my idea. Some people, you have to let go to grow, and bringing in a partner earlier on in the stage will definitely help that idea grow into a flourishing business.
Jade, I've seen kind of the reverse incubator, and the incubator type or the accelerator type that you were mentioning is an individual has an idea and then they progress to an accelerator or incubator where they work on this idea and they attract capital and customers and partners, etc. The reverse incubator that I've seen, and maybe you can share with us your thoughts on that as well, is where a big company or experienced entrepreneurs or experienced investors will derive an idea. They will find through their network, they will say, okay, we're connected into the manufacturing or the agricultural industry, and here's something that we know they really want to solve. So they will derive the idea, and then they will, in this kind of reverse incubator or accelerator, put together the team and the financing, and they will put together the first customers, and they will find the entrepreneur. Maybe they've even nurtured an entrepreneur as part of this process, but it's one in which the entrepreneur doesn't come to the incubator with an idea, but the idea has been developed and flourished and tested, and a strong rationale has already been developed for it, and then the team comes in. And have you also been seeing this kind of approach?
I've heard about it on firsthand. I haven't had any experience with that. It is a good idea if it works. I mean, in the simplest of terms, but just sticking people in there to flourish an idea, I think, is almost force feeding something. And what makes that entrepreneur over another entrepreneur better suited for this job? You never know what somebody is going to come up with or what their idea will be once you put them into a room. And that's why I think that whether that model works or not, time will tell. And obviously you have a lot more experience with that than I do. But, I truly believe that, when people want to work together, great things will happen, rather than saying, here's what you got to do, here's what you're forced to do, and you need to come up with this solution. To me, that's almost just like working in a regular company.
Yeah, in some cases where the financing people and let's say the big anchor company have developed an idea and they have therefore started a company and then bring in the talent, they will then give those people, that founding team, a lot of shares of the company to motivate them. But the other interesting aspect of that is that the anchor company, let's say it's a large company that has a whole number of different subsidiaries and has connections into different markets, they can sometimes come up with ideas which are highly validated, and they obviously have the channel to market, they have the financing all available there. The other kind of spin on this, I think, which you alluded to, is to develop the person. And I remember having conversations with municipalities that they should track people in higher education, universities and colleges who are showing interest in entrepreneurship, and then create maybe an apprenticeship or some kind of program to nurture these people with the understanding that maybe the first idea that they come up with isn't all that much of a winner, but over time, if they're exposed to new concepts and they have this mentoring, they may come up with an idea. Maybe it's 2 or 3 versions later. And so that's another kind of reverse incubator that I've seen out there that focuses on the individual rather than the individual coming with an idea.
And I love that. I mean, that is great. A lot of universities are a little slow to the table when it comes to entrepreneurship, and that is sad. They should be at the forefront, because everybody, you got to go to university. And I mean, even when I was before I became a university dropout to get into the workforce, everybody said you have to have a degree. And when you see, old school traditional things, even like dentistry, they don't even take a business class. It's all about, the product and the teeth. And I get that. But I mean, these people are going to turn into businessmen and, they are going to be entrepreneurs. So I truly believe that universities need to focus on this, have something, if someone's really interested in being an entrepreneur, and start thriving that and start creating programs around that. So when people and some people don't know they're going to be an entrepreneur. I mean, I didn't know I was going to be an entrepreneur until 10 years into my career. I'm like, man, I think I could do this. I want to do something for myself. So it takes time to realize that you are going to be an entrepreneur. So having someone decide that at 16, 17, they might not know it till they get out of high school and a couple of years into university. So that would be a great option to see more support from our education universities and schools out there.
Jade, one of the other gaps that I'm seeing in the market, and maybe you're seeing it as well, is on the investing side. Currently, legislation tends to say that only those people that can lose money can afford to be an angel investor or deal in a venture capital situation, although there are sometimes some caveats around that. But that means that there's a vast majority, a vast pool of money out there that could go into angel investing. And we've seen some attempts to try and use this, for example, anything around a Kickstarter kind of approach, or there's some online angel investing sites where people can put small amounts of money into a big pool for a startup. Some of those are, the problem that I see with those is that we don't really have that connection with who it is that we're putting money in with. And I'm wondering whether that's also something that we should approach in Entrepreneurship 2.0, is how to tap into the pools of money that are out there of individuals who may not be wealthy, but can put in, let's say, $500 here or $1,000 or $200 there, and tap into this pool of income that could help startups come along. And I don't know whether you've also seen that as an issue.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have found that a lot of people that I know that are VCs, they do obviously a lot of vetting, and as would I, if you're going to invest money into a business, and having and a lot of it is who you know, which really limits, what you have access to, because a lot of these people don't know a lot of people that have the money yet. So, I mean, that's where, you have to do your homework. You have to do your, reach out to your network and make sure that you're always networking to find these people. But the idea of having some sort of a pool, to go to, and I don't know whether, the answer is to pitch the idea to a group of, or a board of directors to say that money's there. But it would be a great idea to have somebody head that up, because again, the way to find money is very, very difficult. It's very hard to get money, and having somebody to rely on, to pull from a pool, is a great idea. And even in the music industry right now, I remember reading an article the other day. I can't remember the name of the company, but you can, go in there, sign up an account for free, and you can buy licenses of whether it be Cardi B song, and then you get a royalty off it, and then they're turning out quite a bit of a payback on it, whether it be 10 to 30%. But again, that's a simple idea where some of the music people are being able to make a little more money off of their music, and people like you and I, or any average Joe, can make some money off these royalties.
Absolutely, that would be an interesting approach, and maybe even the government itself could get involved by adjusting the Income Tax Act to allow small-time investors, or people that put in a few $100s into startups, some kind of tax credit or adjust their income tax in between the investment that they've made and the profit that they've had. Because it'd be really interesting if we could have the average person involved as an investor. I suspect that would not only tap into a huge amounts of capital, but it would change the culture so that more individuals coming out of the high schools would see entrepreneurship as a profession because the money is there, maybe because their friends and family have put in small sums of money into a startup and been successful. So it's kind of the two sides of that if we have more investors, we're going to foster a more entrepreneurial spirit at the same time.
No, absolutely. And I think it goes back to the idea. Where does your next idea come from? And your idea being a starting point where, maybe if you have a group of investors and you're stuck or you can't figure it out, you maybe have a group of people now that have a vested interest in your company that you're able to send maybe a quick email to or post something on a chat out there and have a handful of people respond, and all of a sudden, boom, you're like, oh man, that's a great idea. Let's incorporate that into our company vision and move it forward.
So we've talked about some interesting 2.0 versions, one focusing around an idea generator, one nourishment or nurturing of the individual into being an entrepreneur. We've also spoken around trying to tap into the larger pool of potential investment money that's out there. People are putting small sums of money into the stock market. Why not into the investment area? And some of the rationale has been that startups are risky and that only those that can afford to lose the money. But if we were able to lower that barrier and say, well, why can't somebody put in a few $100s and tap into what's loosely referred to it as microfinancing? And so those are some cool ideas. But what about in terms of some of the opportunities that you're seeing out there? I think you talked earlier about how some of them are kind of variants of a theme, or we're seeing people haven't got deep ideas. I tend to look for deep ideas, ones in which require a lot of knowledge to pull off. I don't know whether you can give us, as we come to our closing here, some advice for the startup community, for the entrepreneurs, for the investors, in terms of where are the ideas? How should they be thinking about the ideas, and how do we start coming up with new ones and not just variants of a theme?
Well, the one thing that I've seen in the entrepreneur world is everybody is so, I don't want to use secretive, but they keep everything really close to them or a handful of people. And a lot of times when you're doing that, these people are yes people or yes men or women, and they'll just kind of encourage you to go on and saying, oh yeah, that's a great idea, where a lot of people need to step outside and listen to somebody that's going to say, no, that's awful, like that's a bad way to take this. You need some honest advice, and bringing in a mentor or a close group of people that you want to have as advisors. And there are a lot of people out there that will help you, maybe sit on a little advisory board for you, not for shares or anything along those lines, but maybe you can reward them down the line if you become. But a lot of people just like a little bit of recognition to say, hey, you know what, I was a little bit behind this company, behind the scenes, and I helped them out when they had a problem. Because a lot of entrepreneurs want to see more people succeed. And when we want others to succeed, we succeed. And that just helps any economy around the world. When the entrepreneurs and small businesses are thriving, that's just creating more work, more jobs, bringing in more money, and it just helps the circle of life go around. So my biggest advice would be make sure that you are talking to people that aren't yes men or women, and that you take it and then you listen to the feedback that they give you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jade, for all of those ideas on how we can take entrepreneurship, entrepreneur startups, and the economy into the 2.0 version.
Oh, that was great. It was a great chat. I appreciate you having me on, James. I really enjoyed it, and every time I listen to your podcast, I get smarter. So I'm looking forward to listening to future ones too.
Thank you, Jade.
Have a great day.